Hey everyone, I'm Garrett Chelsea, Director of Grow Students, and I'm here to give you a glimpse at a 6 week series from the Gospels and Acts on the resurrection. So let's jump in and look at what sets Invited apart from every other series inside of Grow Students Volume 8. Check it out. Now, throughout Invited, we'll see what it's like when we celebrate all that God has done through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. So in week 1, we'll hear Jesus' parable about a lost son, then see how an invitation can change the way we view ourselves and others. Through Jesus' parable, we discover what it looks like to know that with Jesus, everyone's invited. During week 2, we'll look at how Jesus was celebrated as a king when he entered Jerusalem. Even though most of these people had not met Jesus yet, they knew he was worth celebrating. And at Easter, we're invited to celebrate who Jesus is. Then in week 3, we'll be confronted with the story of Jesus' crucifixion and see why it was such an important event for all of us. Jesus' death changed everything. And at Easter, we're invited to remember what Jesus has done. Throughout week 4, we'll hear about what happened when some of Jesus' followers showed up at his tomb after his crucifixion. They discovered Jesus was doing something brand new in the world, and we're invited to let Jesus make us new. For week 5, we'll see what Jesus said to his disciples right before he left them to continue his ministry without him. Jesus gave them instructions on what to do next and how we're invited to follow the Holy Spirit's lead. And finally, in week 6, we'll explore Jesus' parable about a great banquet and the difference an invitation can make. Jesus shows he'll go to great lengths to include people, and we can do the same because Jesus invites us to invite others. So every teaching at Grow centers on the Bible and listening to how God leads us to follow Jesus and grow in his likeness. Now, as youth leaders, it's essential to remember the daily challenges our teenagers face and the questions they bring and the ways they hope to connect with Jesus through God's words. But as teenagers engage with these familiar Easter stories, we want to wonder about what they think it means to be invited, to invite others, and at the core of all of it, what it means to belong. And I also think it's important to wonder what hinders them from feeling like they're invited to be part of what God is doing in the world. And how can we as youth workers help? And I think Invited does this so well because as a church, we can help them understand that belonging and creating a place where they're genuinely wanted is something we actually mean. And we can show it to them in this series. Belonging isn't just about showing up. It's about being truly welcomed. Teenagers, I think, often wonder if they need to change in order to be invited. And they question, am I really even wanted here? For a church community that reflects God's love, if that invitation isn't genuine, they wonder why they should even show up. Is the invitation we actually offer them one that we actually mean? They can show up just as they are and let God change and transform them. Invited does this so well. In addition, we can help them see that God's invitation is an invitation to grow and become who God knows they can be. And Invited helps them see that the resurrection invites transformation, but it's not just this instant change. Teenagers are still figuring out who they are and what is needed from them, and they're invited into a process, not a performance. This invitation lets them bring their real selves where they can grow naturally. And when we welcome them genuinely, it assures them that God is patient, loving, and present with them as they explore who they are becoming. The resurrection is the ultimate invitation to everyone to be part of something amazing and new that God is doing in the world. And that's why Invited is centered on a party theme, because we all know that there is nothing like throwing a party to celebrate the people you love. Maybe it's for a birthday, an achievement, or a new chapter of life. Parties give us a reason to gather, laugh, and create new memories together. So if we really stopped and look around, we would find so many reasons to celebrate what God is doing in the life of Jesus and through us as God changes and transforms us. So Invited uses this idea of parties to help us see what it's like when we celebrate all God has done through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. So because Invited is a party theme, it was important to us that there was a lot of fun in this. So every week, all throughout Invited, there are lots of moments of fun. We have all sorts of places where we created giant versions of party games like this one in week 4, where we created something called bucket ball, where students try to throw dodgeballs into trash cans filled with water across from them. And if they get the ball into the trash stand, they can dump the water on one of their leaders or whatever. And then the last person with no trash, the person that loses all their trash cans first is the loser. And the ones with more trash cans are the winner. So it's so much fun. Lots of party games all throughout it. But bucket ball is one of my favorites. But since Invited is also about inviting people to things, we wanted to create an opportunity for your teenagers to invite people to something. So we created this response in week 2 called Celebration Station, where teenagers make party bags that they kind of give away to people that have gifts and some other things in them. But the thing I wanted to highlight is that there's a spot where you can actually put an invitation for your church's like Easter service in there. And it's an easy way for teenagers to like give away some stuff, but also invite people to what God is doing in your church community. And so be prepared for it and get ready. Get your students hyped for it. We think you're going to love it. There's one last thing I wanted to highlight for you, and it's one of my favorite things that we do in all of Volume 8. And it's here, and it's called the Confetti Exchange, where in week 4, which is the week on the resurrection, what we're going to be talking about is places where Jesus is making us new. So teenagers write down one way that they feel like a thing they wish to leave behind, and a place that they want Jesus to make them new in their life. And they write it down in this fun colored confetti paper. And then to end your program, you can invite your group to like pop a confetti popper, and then also like rip up all the little pieces of paper and then throw it into the air as you sing a worship song. Or if you really want to level up, and this would be so much fun, is we actually put a link to a confetti cannon that you could put all of this confetti into, and you could actually like make a confetti explosion. I just think that would be such a fun way, whether you throw it up in the air or you make the cannon, to be like, hey, God is doing something new in our community, and here's all these ways that God is making us new, and we actually turn that newness into part of the party. So I think that that's a really fun response and reflection activity that is really going to make your Easter service so much fun. The last thing I wanted to highlight for you inside of Invited is our discipleship activity for the spring quarter of Grow Students, which is the Bible journaling pages. I just want to make sure that you know that these are here for you to use. And Easter is a great time to encourage your students to connect with Jesus. You are probably doing that all year long, but Easter is an incredible opportunity to encourage your students to connect with God. We have this awesome discipleship activity called the Bible journaling pages. Go check it out in the discipleship section inside of your Grow dashboard. So for anyone highly involved or working in church, Easter is bananas. It's one of the times of year that people who may not show up to church actually show up, which often means that we put in extra time to make sure that everyone has room and a place to belong. You are one of the people who help do that for the teenagers in your community. So from all of us here at Grow, thank you for creating space for students to invite others to be part of what God is doing in the world through the resurrection of Jesus. You really are amazing. And if no one has said thank you recently for everything that you do, thank you for loving the people God has placed in your life. What you are doing is proof that Jesus is risen.